do I add her? I think I need to. There we go. Boom. Let's add her. Lexi.
Hi.
Yes. All right. It worked. Wow. Perfect. Perfect. Uh-oh. Come on, VPN. Please work.
I'm here. I can see you.
Uh-oh. There we go. Oh. All right, guys. So if you're just tuning in, if you didn't see my video last night, one, we've got Lexi below trying to join in. I'm going to be doing a Instagram live series. Here we go. There she is. Perfect. Perfect. See, the Chinese government knew we were going to be talking again. So good. Okay. Can you hear me?
I can see you all the time. Can you see me right now? Are we
Oh, perfect.
have
Okay, you're back.
Yeah.
You're back. Yes. Now I can see you now. Perfect. So doing a
Okay,
quick background. Guys, we're taking you on the next couple weeks while I serve my stay-at-home notice here in Singapore, going to be taking you virtually around the world and to show you some of my favorite people around the world that I've met through my travels, as well as discuss what life is like in their part of the world. One, how COVID-19 has been affecting their area, but two, when these borders eventually open back up, the things that you have to see, have to do, and the things you can't miss when you get back to your traveling. So, first guest, episode 1. Introduce yourself. Like, what's going on? Where are you right now? How's life?
So exciting. Thanks. Thanks for reminding me here. So, right now I'm in Beijing and it's 8 a.m. right now here. Mostly I'm just staying home these days and working from home and literally doing nothing else. We also have this social distancing, but are you stuck or are you just not moving?
I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm intently listening. No, was I?
Okay.
I'll do the head
Very
bump.
intense. Okay. So, a lot of the restaurants right now are coming back to life. So if you want to go to the restaurant, we can still do that. But funny thing is, so sometimes we are required to sit at different tables. For example, if a group of 4 or group of 3, and we'll be asked to sit 2 different tables or 3 different tables, when literally with a huge distance in between, and we have to talk to each other like, "Hey, how's your drink? You're having a fun time over there." And
Yes,
we came
yes. So like
that was pretty weird.
So life is slowly getting back to normal in China. So real quick, let's talk about how we met, because that is a very exciting story. It was, geez, 3 years ago now, right?
It's
January
crazy.
of 20, what was it? 16, January 2018, 2 years ago, right?
I think it was
Made my way.
no.
Was it 18?
I think it. Oh yeah, it was January 18th. So
18.
I met Brent in the prison here. So
in prison.
he was next the next cell.
We weren't supposed to say that. My mom might be watching.
No, we didn't meet in prison. We meet in the Starbucks.
It was
Not
Starbucks.
Regularly, though. I was talking with my friend. My friend was on couchsurfing. Actually, I met my friend on couchsurfing too. And then so we were just talking and then having a casual meetup. And there was this crazy guy messaging us, "Hey guys, do you want to meet up? You're like 30 meters from us." And so we met up. And then right after we met up, so he directly tried to talk us into having crazy adventures with him. And we were like, okay, typical American, we could accept that. And
well, to be fair,
fun.
I had met another local who she was through couchsurfing, couldn't host me, but let me store my bags. Well, she let me store my bags at her place, but then she didn't let me to her place. She actually had me store my bags at a grocery store. And that was, like, that's where trust is the ultimate thing. It was within my first 3 hours of being in China. And she's like, "Hey, I can't have you over," because this was January. January in Beijing is so cold. And she's like, "Hey, I can store your bags for you for a few hours." Like, okay, perfect. And her storing my bags was literally first level under this massive apartment complex in the grocery store with the cashier. And I was like, if my bags are ever going to disappear, tonight is the night. But luckily, they didn't. And she was the one that told me about the super remote part of the Great Wall of China. And once I met her, I was like, wow, I've got to find some locals who can take me there and boom, you're looking at the girl that made that dream come true. We had the craziest adventure. We just thought, what, 4 a.m. wake up before the sun rose, super, super, super cold. I think I wore every piece of clothing that I had in my bag
But
that day, and it
I'm telling
still
you
wasn't
guys,
enough.
I never know what was going on. I didn't know what I got myself into in that adventure. I didn't even heard like I never heard of that part of a Great Wall before. As a Chinese, I 100% Chinese, and I've never heard of that part of the Great Wall, and so I didn't prepare for it. So, and he's like, let's go to the Great Wall." I was like, "Okay, no big deal. We could do that." And it turns out it was, yeah, you can take from here.
Massive hike, insane hike. Well, we got there. Well, we were supposed to catch two buses, and for some
Hmm.
reason that morning the bus that we needed wasn't running, so we caught a cab. Then we took
We
the
also
cab,
broke
and they
into a
dropped us.
building. Do you remember
Well, I
that?
was just gonna say we got dropped off where the next bus was gonna pick us up, and we were waiting. It was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be an hour. So luckily, we convinced the security guard to let us into this building just to warm up, and then they eventually
We
kicked us
didn't
out. I mean, there were
convince him.
cameras
We broke
everywhere.
in.
We okay, yeah. We didn't have to say we broke it. Come on, the Chinese government might be watching. But yeah,
But it was fun.
eventually got to the small
There was no people
village.
in the building.
No, it was
Mm,
so, and I can't believe they let us in. And
yeah.
then caught the bus, took a nap to warm up at the restaurant, and then finally made our hike up to the Great Wall. And that was
Yeah.
probably one of the craziest things because we didn't see anybody. I mean, we had that Great Wall to
Mm,
ourselves, which is
right.
so rare for China, right? Because there are a lot of people there, but that was no, I can't thank you enough. That was one of the highlights of my travels around the world. I mean, what a cool way to experience one of the wonders of the world. It was nuts.
That was a
Very
great
cold day.
adventure for me too, because I always thought Great Wall would be boring. I went to the normal parts of Great Wall for like fourth times already,
Hmm.
and I'd never been to that part of the Great Wall, so it was like brand new thing for me too. And it was really dangerous, so it was a dangerous climb. You could see people literally had to label out with the ribbons on the
Yes.
trees, telling you this
Yeah.
is the right way to go, and you have to follow. You can follow. It's better that you follow the ribbons, otherwise it can be really dangerous.
Well, that's what was so crazy, right? Because I mean, the part that we went to, I
Hmm.
mean, everyone sees beautiful rebuilt part of Great Wall in Beijing. Where we were, the trees were growing through the wall. I mean, bricks had been
Yeah.
crumbling off. I mean, it was ruins. And I don't know if you remember,
Hmm.
there was that massive U part we hiked around, and that was
Yeah.
so steep, and it was just.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know what a great way to see it, and it never ever
Right.
ever would have happened without meeting you. So real quick, let's update everyone.
Hmm.
Guys, we're live. I'm currently in Singapore serving my 14-day stay-at-home notice, my quarantine. Lexi is live in Beijing, China, the hub of where the
Yes.
coronavirus, the country where it originated. So let's dive into this. Well, first, you're in
Mm.
Beijing. You quickly told me about that's not your hometown. Where is home?
No. I'm originally from northeast of China. It's called Changchun, and it's a capital of province Jilin. The Jilin province is the one you could see from the map. It's adjacent to North Korea, so it's a little bit south to Heilongjiang, like the most northeast part, and
Okay.
it's in the middle, and it's adjacent the nearest one to North Korea,
But
and
still
it was
quite
pretty
far.
cold
Like
winter.
you couldn't just swim to North Korea. You can't swim across the river. I mean, you're still gonna have to drive or take a
I
train
think people are
if they
gonna
were
shoot
China.
you with guns if you swim across the river, but it's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah, yeah,
doable.
yeah.
You can try and
Yeah.
tell me if that works.
I don't know if it's worth the risk. No, I'm okay. I would definitely be the one that gets shot. I would stand out quite a bit if I try to sneak into North Korea. Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't go home for Spring Festival. I was here. I went home in November, and I had some home stuff. I thought about taking advantage of the 7 days holidays. I wanted to do something here, so I didn't go back. And turns out to be a really smart decision if I went back home. So I would have trouble coming back to Beijing by the
Hmm.
time the Chinese New Year ended. So
See, Chinese New Year, I think, was a very pivotal time for the world when it comes to the coronavirus. So I was
right.
in Singapore, and right, Singapore is
Hmm.
about roughly 80% Chinese, very, very high. It's the majority here of the population. and we went to Indonesia for Chinese New Year. There's an island that's just about 45 minutes away from Singapore. But it was interesting. Everyone was talking that it was just like, if they don't restrict travel during Chinese New Year, it seems like
Mm-hmm.
the virus might get out. And unfortunately, that seemed to be the case because after the Chinese New Year, that's when Singapore had the second most cases in the world. And so I was getting calls from U.S. news stations. Oh, how is it being in the country that has the second most cases? It was only 50, but still at the
Oh,
time it was
nice.
second most in the world. And it's interesting how much bigger it's become. Um, so yeah, just real quick, right? Because we're gonna focus on this a bit, and we will get into travel. But what has the experience been like in Beijing? You said the city wasn't totally locked down. Wuhan was the only city that was
Mm-mm-mm.
on complete shutdown.
Mm.
What was it like being in Beijing?
So in Beijing, mostly during Spring Festival, Beijing was like a ghost city, mostly
Hmm.
because most people who live here, they're not from here, so they went back home and they were
Yeah.
celebrating Spring Festival, and they decided to not to come back to Beijing to quarantine themselves with families after Spring Festival. So basically, Beijing was still a dead town, even like but and I think all the way till mid-February. So there was no travel. You could still get out. You could still travel to other cities, but it wouldn't be a good idea because you have to quarantine yourself everywhere for 14 days. Because I think in mid-February people were talking about coming back to work in early March.
Uh-huh.
So the companies will like give them a heads up to ask them to come back to Beijing slowly. So you quarantine yourself for 14 days. So I had a friend from Shanghai who visited us during that time, like
Yeah.
in mid-February, and she was so bored. She almost went crazy about the quarantine thing. She's French, so she came from Shanghai, and then when she was here, she was told by her company that she has to go back immediately to quarantine herself for 14 days. Basically, if
Hmm.
you want to go anywhere, you have to quarantine yourself for 14 days. So it wouldn't be a good idea for traveling, but you could
Right.
still go. The trains were running.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you could
I
still
guess I
like
was under the
walk
assumption
around.
that every city in China was on total lockdown, but that wasn't the case. Now, you guys, very similar to the United States, your
Mm,
restaurants have closed, right? You guys are doing just the takeaway, kind of like we focus.
hmm
That's kind of what's spreading across the world. Europe, I think, is the same way. But yeah, interesting. So you were able to work from home. Your office did close down, right? You did work from home. Uh, you there, Lexi?
Wait a second. Let me.
So, guys, something fun with China
Okay.
is social media is
Hello.
banned. Okay, good. VPN's back. You can
Can you
hear
hear
me?
me now?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Uh-oh.
Is it better now?
Y-
Yeah.
yes. There
The
we go. Okay,
government
good,
will
good, good. I
step
was
in
just
for a
saying,
bit.
VPN is a fun game to play in China. No, no worries, no worries. All right, so we're
This is
back.
not easy, guys. This is not an
So,
easy thing to pull off. It's not a easy life.
no, no, exactly. I mean, for those of you who don't know, social media is banned in China, and so you've got to play this game of finding a good VPN that the government won't shut down immediately. So I'm impressed that you're able to pull this off. So all I was asking was, so aside from restaurants closing down and doing takeout, it
hmm
really it really wasn't that like the city didn't really shut down essentially, right? It was just for people coming
Mm-mm.
back that
Mm.
they basically put in 14-day quarantine, correct?
Yeah, so government they restrict the companies. So the companies like they I think they're separated in different time. So for example, some of the companies are told they can let their employees come back to work at the beginning of March, and some are told maybe mid-March. So basically, government divide the population into several groups to let them like slowly coming back to Beijing to work,
Yeah,
so they don't flood in all of a sudden like all at once. And yeah,
interesting.
and yeah, we just work from online, and a lot of the stuff can. yeah, use Zoom or Tencent. There are some meeting apps on from
Yes.
Tencent. Mm.
Some good stocks to
So you
invest in now. Absolutely. Yeah, they're
mm.
taking off the United States. Interesting. Well, cool. Okay. No, I mean that's good to know because a lot of people are on the assumption that the whole country shut down, but clearly that's not the
Oh.
case. Um, Interesting.
Hmm.
All right.
People just not
So
don't want to travel. They just don't want to travel because you literally can't do anything if you travel around.
yeah. So that was it. So it was basically the travel ban that has allowed. I mean, is it? Is it true? I mean, what they're saying in the media is China is hardly any cases. Well, they have cases, but it's not expanding. I mean, does it seem? Is that relatively true? I mean, have they truly stopped the spread of this virus? You think?
You mean this? You mean if then the figures are correct?
Yeah, yeah,
I wouldn't know. Like, to be
yeah.
honest, there's no way that I could find out. But just
But
from the people around me, I think it's not. Well, I have a reason to believe it's going back. It's going away. It's slowly going
yeah,
away because
because
otherwise you will gradually see like people that you know or friends of your friends who get the virus. But so
true.
far, I haven't heard anyone that I know or friends of friends that I know who got the virus. Like I haven't
Oh,
heard of it
fantastic.
yet.
That's yeah, and
Hmm.
they've taken down. So they built those makeshift hospitals. They've taken those down. So it seems like you guys have done a good job controlling COVID-19. So
It's all about
enough about
controlling. There
yes,
you go.
yes. Enough of that fun stuff. Let's dive into travel because China
Yeah.
is such a big country. There's so much to see. But with you, let's specifically focus on Beijing, your second hometown, right? So what, like
Yeah.
for you, what would you say are the must see, must do if someone comes to travel in Beijing?
First of all, you need to see the Great Wall, right? Even for a local, I still suggest you to go. But if you want some adventure, like Brand, you could go to that wild part. You could always like explore something different besides the normal
Yep.
touristy stuff. But Great Wall is highly recommended. It's great. Like it has great whale, like also is. So and also second, I'd recommend food is a big part. I love Chinese food. Um, it's not because that I grew up here, but yeah, maybe it's because of that. But like Chinese food is huge. They have so much like it's a big variety because you have
Hmm.
food from different places. It tastes so different from the north, from the south, and even within different provinces, they have their own thing. And like I told Brand before, like even just last year I discovered the food from Gansu that I'd never tasted before. It's so good. It was so good. I've never tried it before even. I couldn't believe it. So there is much to give the food. So my favorite is hot pot. I think
Heck yeah.
there are some hot pot places opening around the world, but I haven't tried hot pot overseas. But like Haidilao is the famous one, the most famous one. Like it looks like this. So you
Let's see.
have
Your video right now is super blurry. Did you switch
oh
VPNs?
really?
Actually, yeah, you're a little bit blurry, which is okay. We can still
Okay.
see you, but it's like when the internet first started, kind of megapixeled, and but you can see that photo. So explain hot pot, right? It's essentially a soup where you cook things, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the soup that we use to cook bats.
Yes.
No, just kidding.
So bats is your food of choice. Good to know. All right.
Yeah, like baby bats are the best. And some special ways to clean them before you have to get rid of the hair on their wings. It's a lot of work, but it's worth the try. No,
Oh
just
my
kidding.
god.
Vegetables
Oh
and
man.
meat. There are a lot of choices that you can put in the soup, and also there
Yeah.
are different sauces, and even in the soup, you cook different things. The soup tastes different with the vegetables, with the meat that you put in.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
No, it's good
dope.
stuff. It's very good
Yeah.
stuff. Very good
If
stuff.
if if
Even if
I
you eat the
get
bat, huh?
stuck, yeah, if I get stuck, I have only one option what to eat. I would just have hot pot all day.
Is it pretty easy to cook at home as well? Is that something you can
Yeah,
make at
yeah,
home?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because like the restaurant, they will sell this processed sauces that you can put directly into the soup, so you
Yeah.
can make the soup yourself.
Easy enough. Okay, cool. And
Mm.
what's and anything else? Anything else in Beijing must see? I've got something that I can throw in, but anything else that you
Yeah.
would recommend?
Like I think walking around on in hutongs, I think they're pretty unique architectures. It's beautiful though. I posted some
Hmm.
pictures on my Instagram before, like in winter it was snowing, and this place is called Gulo, and it's beautiful.
Hmm.
The typical Asian architecture, ancient, like the Forbidden City.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's
I was
worth
gonna
to
say
go.
Forbidden City is an
Hmm.
absolute must in Beijing. Heck yeah.
Hmm.
The only
And like the
okay. Can
hutongs
we
are
try?
small
Can we try
houses.
fixing your video? You're so
Okay.
megapixeled right now. Can you try turning off your
Okay.
camera and turning it back on, just so people can actually see
Okay.
that you're a real person? Let's see. Come on, VPN. Guys, if you're just tuning in, I'm talking with Lexi, who's coming to us live
Is
from
it better now?
Beijing, China. Uh,
Is
not
it
totally, but
better
that's
now?
okay. Maybe it'll take a second. Dang, I don't know. We had such a good connection before,
Ah,
but that's all right. That's all right. There's only so much we can do.
yeah.
So the other
With
thing
that
I
much
would say with
luck.
Beijing, yeah, you'll see the video here after. You're gonna be like, God dang it, they can't see me, but that's okay. Would you? I would also
It's
recommend
all
people
clear
seeing.
for on my end.
Is it really okay? Strange.
Hmm.
It's the Chinese government. They're uh,
That's
they're
in
they're
your
messing up the
connection.
signal. No, I'm in Singapore. We have some of the best Wi-Fi in the world.
Shut
The
up.
other thing in Beijing that must be seen is the bird's nest. Back when Beijing
Hmm.
hosted the Summer Olympics, the Olympic Park
Right.
is a very cool spot to walk around. You can even climb to the top of the bird nest, which is a fun activity. Costs a few bucks. So yeah, very, 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 very cool city in the world. Um, all right, Lexi, I think I know the answer. But if you could only eat one Chinese meal for the rest of your life, what are you picking?
Hot pot or Peking duck? Peking duck, it's a little
Okay.
bit boring for the rest of my life, but hot pot, you can do like so many things with it. You can
Yeah.
even cook noodles
With
in it.
Peking duck,
So,
it's just duck with rice and a special sauce, right? There wouldn't be anything else with it.
mm. Like cucumbers. You can put different things, cucumbers, carrots, or some special sauces in it too.
Okay. Okay, cool. We just had a question. Let me scroll back up. Guys, if you're watching, feel free to throw in questions that you may have for Lexi. Someone asked, did they actually stop the wild animal selling in the markets? There's been news around the world that they've closed the wet markets. Is that true? Do you know? Can you confirm that
You
for
mean the
Beijing?
market in Wuhan?
Is it yeah, or Wuhan? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think so. Like people believe that it was the place that had this virus at first, and then right after
Hmm.
that, it got shut down immediately. But well, to be
Okay.
honest, I haven't really.
Oh, really?
I've never had dog meat. I've never really like seen those animal markets, like wild animal markets. But like I lived my
Hmm.
life mostly in the north. Um, I don't know what's going on in the south. Maybe there are some places, but it's definitely not a popular thing for, commonly for people to eat. And also they are quite
Right.
expensive, I assume.
Interesting. Lexi, I'm gonna try
Mm,
something real quick. I'm gonna try to recall you into the call just because you're so pixelated. All right, I'm gonna send you another
okay.
invite. Let's see if this fixes it. If not, we're
Okay.
just gonna roll with it.
Okay.
So removing Lexi. All right, goodbye, Lexi, and let's bring her back. Uh-oh. Hopefully they allow me to go get her back. All right. Come on, Instagram. Work with me here. Let's hope this fixes it, guys. Sorry, it's super tough to see you right now. There we go. Yes, much
Is it
clearer. It
better?
worked. Oh my gosh, we can see you again. You're an actual real person. Good, good, good. All right, let's guys. If you're just tuning in, talking to Lexi live in China. Now we're moved on to the travel stuff. If you want to hear about the coronavirus, we'll post this video later. Let's jump into what stereotypes about China are true and what stereotypes do you feel like are false?
Um, um, the true, like Chinese people love money,
Yeah,
and
okay.
that's
So that
absolutely
stereotype
true.
is true. Uh-huh.
Yeah, like I think we are taught to love money, and that's one thing. So, and not every Chinese people, like not every Chinese person is good at math. I'm pretty not good at math. I think I'm okay, like just like high school level math. I'm not good at math, and I can't,
Thanks for being
I
honest.
can't
Yeah.
like, yeah. And some people say we're bad drivers, and I can't argue that because I do have seen a lot of bad drivers on the street, and just people got because but I don't drive, so I can, I can observe objectively. I think we're not probably not bad drivers, but we're angry drivers.
I was gonna say the
So
traffic in Beijing's it's quite crazy. Just a side
mhm.
note, a couple culture things with China. You're not allowed to legally gamble in China. That's why all the Chinese love to go
Mm.
to Macau. Macau is right next to Hong Kong, a little ferry ride away, and it puts Vegas to shame when it comes to betting. I mean, it's I saw a guy lose $1 million in two hands. You know, like it's
Oh,
extreme there, which is nuts. Also, Chinese New Year tradition, which I learned about. What are the red envelopes called? It's not like
uh, 红包. So
Humbao.
you have
Yes.
to, you have to give money to your like nieces or your younger brothers, or if you have a job, you have to give money to.
Uh-oh. Come on, VPN. Dang it. Lexi, your VPN's messing up again.
Shit.
All right. Well, we're back to blurry, but at least you're. Oh, dang it. She left. Guys, real quick, the bow is, or sorry, not the bow. The red envelope, what's hilarious is they give them out at Chinese New Year, but you only give them out to the single people in your life, which almost, in my mind, encourages people not to get married because then you get more money from your relatives. Let's try to get her back. I'm nervous. Maybe the Chinese government had found out we're talking, but VPNs are a serious thing in China. Come on, Lexi. Let's see if this works, and we'll wrap this up. There we go. Uh-oh. Dang it. Dang it. Give it a second. Lexi, you there? Well, episode 1, you're going to have technical difficulties. That's all right. It's going to happen. And luckily, we're knocking out right away. Hey, can you hear me? Oh my gosh. Dang it. Well, let's see. We'll give her a couple more tries. Oh, yes, you're back. You're back.
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
thank God. Oh my gosh. All
That
right.
was not easy.
Jeez, good job. I don't know how you're getting around this government control, but kudos. This is impressive. All right, so we got the stereotypes down. We can wrap this up because the time has been flying. What is your absolute favorite thing about your country?
The food. And I gotta say, it's easy to travel around. If you talk about traveling, I think public transportation is great.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
and the
hence you said
food
you
is
don't
definitely
drive.
worth the try.
You don't need a car,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah,
you don't have
because
to have
the
a car to
traffic
get
is
around.
really bad. It's not like I need a car to get around. Just public transportation will do the job. Like would work for me.
Hmm. And is
Mm.
it there? I mean, trains are used around China as well, right? I mean, like Beijing, they have very good inner city transportation, right? The subway system's
Yeah.
phenomenal. If you're trying to go
Mm-hmm.
city to city, aside from flying, what buses and trains are the way to go?
Yeah. It's still very convenient.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Easy enough. Last question that I have for you. What's one fact about your country that would surprise people?
What do you think? It would be a fact that surprised people.
For me personally, my first time in China, I was I only did Beijing, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
found a way. China is a tough visa to get for U.S. citizens. Very expensive, long application process. Luckily, you're able to get a visa on arrival for most of the major cities. And so I did that to see the Great Wall, right? And
Mm.
one of the biggest things that in the United States that we're told about China is very, very well educated population, which is true. Some of the best schools in the world. But I was shocked at how few people spoke English. Like some of the I was traveling with the guy from Hong Kong. Some of the stuff he was saying, not super appropriate, but it was shocking to me that people did not understand the vulgar words he was saying to them, and they would just smile and wave back. And so for me, for a place that has such great education, such great schools, it was shocking to me that so few people that I ran into, right? There's millions of people there, but the people that I ran to didn't speak that much English. So
Yeah,
that
that's
surprised me big
true.
time.
Not many people speak English. I think people can read and write more, maybe in but you get
Yeah.
to see people who speak English more in the university district or in some certain cities like in Shenzhen or in Guangzhou. Probably there's larger population speaking English. But in Beijing, there are quite a lot of people speak English, but you can't just like grab a person from the street and they can understand what you say. It doesn't work like that because it's a huge city and people are scattered and yeah,
Yeah.
not everyone speaks English.
It is a massive, massive city. But well,
Yeah,
Lexi,
huge
thank you so much for
population.
your time. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're
Hmm.
doing well. It's a
It's good
crazy
to see
time
you
in the
too.
world, and thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm glad this was
thanks
your
for
day off.
inviting
This
me
worked very
here.
nicely, huh? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
thanks for
So
inviting
any
me here.
last words to the viewers? Any words of advice to the world? What do you have to say? What are your parting words?
Um, um, I mean, like, just stay home and be safe. And once the thing settled and everything go back to normal, if you want to come to China, I highly recommend Beijing. And you can also travel to some other small cities in the north. They're all very historical, yeah, in very interesting places. Welcome if you want to come. Yeah,
Okay,
like, mm-hmm.
awesome, Lexi.
Yeah,
Thank you
so
so
much for
much,
that.
guys. Whoever
Mhm.
tuned in, thank y'all so much. This is episode
Thanks.
one of a series, my quarantine series. We're going to be, virtually traveling around the world, about 12 or so hours.